Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another exciting edition of TNA Impact Wrestling Review. This is July 3rd, 2014, and I am, of course, your host, the Wizard 411. This show was pretty good. It was a decent show. I think it helped progress the story, given the fact that MVP's injured and they've kind of had to just like put something together. I don't think it's that bad, all things considered. We start our night off with Kurt Angle, which is, of course, the Olympic gold medalist and one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. So, I'm digging him being in charge, right? So he comes out, and his first good deed is to pretty much give senior official Earl Hebner his job back as head referee. So that was pretty neat. Kurt Angle follows that by pretty much coming out with a sheet of paper and telling us all the matches that he has lined up for tonight. After that, he is interrupted by Samoa Joe, and Samoa Joe pretty much comes out and tells him, you know what, Kurt, I'm not down with your nonsense. I know you're going to betray us at some point because that's what you do. That's what MVP did. That's what Dixie Carter did, and that's what every authority figure in Impact does, right? And I think it's pretty funny because I kind of feel like TNA Creative was like, hey, Joe, this is a fun idea. Let's have you tell them what we have planned for Angle later on. As soon as his knee gets better, he's totally going to, like, betray all of you, right? Because, that's just what happens, right? Let's face it. And Angle is obviously a really good heel. I think he's a better one than he is a babyface. And I know for a fact that we're going to see him turn. And when he turns, it's going to be bad news for everybody. But I'm still looking forward to seeing it because I am a true Kurt Angle fan, right? So, moving on with the show, our first match of the night was actually Bromance versus Freak and Nux of the Menagerie and the Wolves. It was a triple threat tag team match, not for the titles, mind you. It was not a title match. It was just a regular tag team match. And it was okay. I'd say the match was about 10 plus minutes, give or take, somewhere along that line. We got a pretty good showing from Freak and Nux. I have not seen Nux compete. Not Nux, the Freak of the Menagerie. I believe this was his debut match. Because, as we all know, Crazy Steve and Nux have pretty much been the ones that have been fighting this whole time. He came out sporting this wicked new mask, and I know those weren't tats around his neck, or at least I don't think they were. But he kind of reminded me of Venom with the symbiote, but only like some of it was on him instead of the whole thing. And that was actually a pretty good look. He looked good in the ring, very powerful. He does like a double suplex on the Wolves, or was it Goddard's and Zima? I'm not sure. Remind me either way. And we actually had this pretty cool high spot where him and Nux toss Zima Ion outside of the ring, and they tossed him like 10 plus feet in the air. Like, this guy flew. It was crazy. When the Wolves got in the match, of course, there was some high action because that's what the Wolves do. They're very speedy, very flashy wrestlers. They're all about spots and, just making things happen. Of course, when they come in, they get a big pop from the audience. The audience is always digging them. So we see that happen, and the winners of this match are actually going to be the Wolves via that double finisher that they always do when one of them tosses you in the air and the other one kicks you on your side. I don't know what it's called. Andre, maybe you can help me out with that, right? Because you kind of helped me out with Gail Kim's finisher. But this is where I think TNA kind of like drops the ball sometimes because they don't always necessarily tell you what the finisher is. I think they should call it every time it happens, right? Because, just keep reminding us, like, this is the wrestler that does this move, and that way we can remember it. Now, I know I could probably be doing, more research and finding out what these moves are called, but just, on the announcing team, like, come on, like, Taz or Mike Tenay, like, one of you guys just, like, let us know, like, I want to know what these moves are called. Either way, they end up taking the victory. The Wolves gave a good show. All of them gave a good show. It was actually a pretty entertaining match. After that, our second match of the night was the King of the Night, Kenny King, versus Bobby Roode in a street fight. This match was made earlier when MVP and Kenny King actually ended up jumping Bobby Roode in the back. They just like beat him up, they ambushed him, and Kurt came out like, you know what, I'm just going to create a match between you guys. Since we all know MVP is injured, Bobby Roode wanted to fight him originally, but that's not going to go down because he's obviously injured, right? So they're not going to make him fight. So he ends up fighting the King of the Night, Kenny King, in a street fight. So these guys come out in their regular street gear. No need to like lace up their boots because, he jumped them in the back. So let's keep that theme, right? So they did a pretty good job of fighting in the crowd. I think that was pretty awesome. There was a point where it looks like Roode was going to toss Kenny King out of one of the one of the rows towards the middle where the audience was. But Kenny King just kind of hung from there, and then Roode just punched him and he fell anyway. Some pretty good back and forth action from both of them. Kenny King does something similar to like a Van Daminator, where he pretty much does like a jumping spin kick on Roode when he had the chair, and it like smacked him, giving King the advantage of this in this match. However, King was not able to close after about 5 to 6 minutes or so. Bobby Roode does take this victory when he hits him with his driver on top of the steel chair. So Roode gets his win back, plays his music, audience is down, they're digging it. You know, we end that match on a high note. This is looking like a good night for Bobby Roode, which is pretty awesome because I'm really digging that. After that, we had Brittany that wants to call out Madison Rayne to the ring because she has something important to tell her. And this is where the announcing team drops the ball again. All right, so she's coming out to the ring to pretty much tell us what's going on. And Mike TNA tells us, oh, Brittany's coming out to the ring. Maybe we'll find out what she has to say next. Really? Maybe? You mean she's going to tell us, right? Because we're obviously going to know what's going on, because she's not going to come out just for the sake of coming out, right? She has something to say. She has something on her mind. Like, why would you say maybe? You know, like, you couldn't edit that part out. I mean, it's a minor nitpick, but still, it's something that I think they need to do a better job on overall. Like, you guys are professionals, you know. She's obviously going to tell us something, so just say, hey, you know, Brittany's coming out to the ring. We're going to find out what she has to say to Madison Rayne next, and then go on commercial break, right? So anyway, that does end up happening. She calls out Madison Rayne. Madison Rayne comes out in her ring gear, and she's pretty much like, you know what? I know what this is all about. Bring a ref. Let's fight. If I have to fight you to show you that I care, I'm going to do that. Brittany, of course, she's like, no, you've got it all wrong. I just want to let you know that you were right this whole time. You know, I've been naive and foolish thinking that I was able to just come in here and be a superwoman pretty much because, you know, when new talent comes in, they think they're unbeatable, you know, sort of like teenage kids when they get a little older and they're more aware of the world and they think nothing can stop them until they get punched in the face. So that ends up happening. And then she pretty much apologizes to her, and Madison Rayne tells her, you know what, like, thank you for seeing things this way. You know, I don't want you to make the same mistakes I made. And she told her that from this point on, she's going to have her back. So they embrace, they share a hug, and just as Madison is going to leave, Brittany does not let go of her hand, and she betrays her, hits her with the mic, beats her up for a little bit, throws her outside of the ring. So now we're going to end up seeing a rivalry between Brittany and Madison Rayne, two former friends, now turned enemies. So this should be pretty exciting. It's good to see these wrestlers mix and match. As we all know, the Knockouts division isn't that big to begin with, so you can't have the same wrestlers fighting every time. You know, you want to give these divas other opponents. So putting Brittany in a match with Madison kind of just makes sense at this point, honestly. So I'm looking forward to seeing that happen. Our third match of the night was actually Bully Ray versus EC3 in a tables match made by Kurt Angle earlier in the night. Now, I was pretty excited for this. I mean, I know we kind of saw them fight in the pay-per-view already, and, you know, we're pretty much seeing almost the same type of matchup again. Either way, it was pretty good. Both of them cut a promo backstage prior to coming out and fighting, saying that they're pretty much going to beat the hell out of each other and whatnot. So the match begins, and Bully Ray, of course, gets the better of him initially because Bully Ray just seems to do that. Every time he fights him, I'm noticing a pattern here. Ethan Carter just kind of gets beat up all the time, and then, you know, he'll get the upper hand after, like, low-blowing him or getting some sort of assistance from Rockstar Spud. What I actually thought was interesting, and I wanted to mention this before, but I'm going to mention it now. When Christy Hemme announces EC3, I find it interesting that she calls him Ethan Carter III, and then she says EC3 right after that. Like, I get that they want to acknowledge that he's a Carter, but why say his name twice? I just don't think that's necessary. I mean, he brings it up all the time in his promos that he is a Carter, so I don't really think we need Christy Hemme saying that. I mean, don't get me wrong, I have respect for Christy Hemme, and I really dig her job. I think she does a really good job as an announcer when she announces the wrestlers to come in the ring. But, I mean, just call him EC3. You know, no need to, like, extend his name so much. Anyway, whatever. Continuing on to the match. Of course, you know, EC3 is going to win this match because he has some interference from Spud. And Rhino actually came out. Rhino has made his return to Impact Wrestling. We thought he was going to give Spud the gore. But instead of giving him the gore, he turns around and gores Bully Ray. What the hell, man? They're supposed to be boys, right? But, you know, whatever. It is what it is. I'm sure he got paid off by Dixie, and they want to take out Bully, so, you know, they're going to do whatever's necessary in order to do that, right? So after he does that, Ethan puts Bully through a table through another botched chokeslam move. I just don't understand that. It was a chokeslam or a spine buster of some sort. It just... Ethan Carter's a big guy, right? He's not small. I mean, I saw him in the New York tapings. He's pretty big. He's pretty brolic. Like, why does Bully Ray always have to do the move almost completely by himself? He puts himself through a table. He does it all the time. I think Ethan Carter needs to put a little more force, actually pick him up and slam him on that thing, because it'll just look better. Even when they showed the replay, you can see that Bully pretty much put himself through that table. But I digress. The match ends up with Ethan Carter still being undefeated, so EC3 is your victor for this match. After that, we had a pretty good knockouts match, actually. Gail Kim versus Angelina Love for the Knockouts Championship. And this was pretty cool because, as you all know, I'm not a fan of Stifler. Not a fan of him at all. Before the match, there's a backstage segment with him and the beautiful people, and they're just like all over him, telling him, "Oh, you got our back tonight, right?" And he's just like, "Yeah, of course, you know, I mean, I love you ladies." And he's being a fool, like always. Kurt Angle put Brian Hebner in that match instead. He told him, "You know what? You're out of the match. You obviously don't know what you're doing when it comes to these two. And I'm going to put a referee that's going to call this down the middle." So he ends up putting Earl Hebner's son, which I think was a smart decision because I'm really sick of seeing these matches end via Stifler being an idiot. Now, I get that, you know, often when it comes to heels, the referee never really sees what's happening. But when you blatantly see what's going on and you still allow the match to continue that way, like, I just don't understand. Like, that's just ridiculous. Plus, like, the beautiful people, they're your, like, top, you know, heel lady wrestlers, right? So you would think that, I mean, make them win strong once in a while. They don't always have to win, as, you know, through some sort of, like, shenanigans. Like, make them win fair and square for a change. Or at least, like, through interference from each other instead of having the referee help them. I just think that's unnecessary. And anyway, Kurt Angle had a backstage segment. Oh, I'm sorry. I completely forgot. Gail Kim ends up winning this victory. Gail Kim, one of the best female wrestlers in the world. She hits Angelina with the Eat the Feet. Thank you again, Andre, for letting me know the name of that move. Now I know, and it's an awesome name for a move, actually. And the announce team actually does say the name of the move, so now I will not forget the name of this move. She is now your new TNA Knockouts champion. I'm looking forward to seeing Gail Kim more in the future. After that, we had a short backstage segment before that with Angle and Aries, Austin Aries. Austin Aries is pretty much like, "Hey, Angle, you know, I want another shot. Give me a shot for this X Division belt, and I'm gonna make it happen." Kurt, you know, agrees, and he's like, "All right, show me what you've got." So that's set up for next week. So next week, we're going to see Sonata versus Austin Aries for the X Division title. Moving on to our main event. Before the main event begins, Eric Young is backstage with Bobby Roode, and he's looking kind of sad. And Bobby's like, "Hey, dude, you know, what's going on?" And Eric pretty much brings up the fact that he's never beaten Lashley. Lashley's beaten him like 3 times in a row. 2 of those matches clean. And, you know, he's pretty much like, "Yo, he's got my number." Eric Young did a really good job of putting over Lashley and making him seem like a serious threat. And, you know, Roode pretty much gives him a pep talk, and he's like, "Just remember who you are. Remember that no one had faith in you and that they didn't believe that you can do it." So, you know, he pretty much got him, you know, souped up for this match. Our match went underway. Eric Young was accompanied by Bobby Roode, and Lashley was, of course, accompanied by MVP. There was a spot where they both kind of interfered in the match, so the ref kicked them out, so it ended up being a fair one-on-one match. Some back and forth action going on. Eric Young hits him with the elbow drop from the top rope, which was funny because he looked like he kind of just like slid off of him, which I thought was pretty hilarious. But anyway, you know, there's some moves going on here. Lashley hits him with the Dominator, but that's not the move that wins the match. Lashley actually ends up winning via spear. He just hits him with this monstrous spear that like flipped him inside out. And he won clean. He got the 1, 2, 3 clean. Further solidifying the fact that Lashley is the top dog and he's the biggest threat right now. I thought it was an okay match. I thought it kind of went slow for most of the match, but it started picking up towards the end. Lashley's the champ. And he's here to stay, apparently. So, you know, let's see what's going on. I'm looking forward to next week's episode of Impact. I am, of course, the Wizard 411. You guys can follow me on my Twitter handle, which is @thewizard411. You can also follow my Instagram. Feel free to subscribe to this page. You know, all the support you guys have been showing me recently, it's great. I'm really enjoying it. I'm, of course, new to this, as you all know, and just to see the momentum and see the responses that I've been getting from people, it's really encouraging. And I just wanted to just personally take this moment to let you know that I appreciate every single one of you that watches my show and that comments and likes and shares and whatnot. Like, you guys are just great. You know, I really do appreciate it. I hope you all enjoy your 4th of July weekend. I hope you enjoy the 4th of July tomorrow. It is Independence Day, so let's celebrate. Let's, you know, get some drinks. Let's just have some fun, you know, enjoy our lives, because what do we have at the end of the day, right? But anyway, you know, once again, I'm the Wizard 411. Enjoy the matches. As always, you guys are awesome, and don't ever let anyone tell you different.